In the area of speculative design, we're going to look at personal air vehicle. Flying has always fascinated us, and it took a long time to get to prototype and designing to actually having, like today, planes and helicopters. The reason why this area is so interesting is because the UN says that by 2030, 60% of the population will be urban. To illustrate what type of problems this could lead, we've created a persona. She's called Louise. She's 35, she's a marketing manager, she's married with 2 kids, she lives in Blanchardstown, but she works in Bray. Currently, she's got to commute with her car and it takes her about 2 hours. Her frustrations are these long commuting hours, which means that she has less time at home, and this also impacts her health and strains her relationship with her partner and children. She also hates the feeling of being stuck in traffic. So her goals are to get to work and back in a timely manner. Less commuting would also mean that she would have more time at home and more time for leisure. And she also thinks that commuting should be enjoyable. So let's look at what problems really we're trying to solve here. Our problem statement is, how might we provide a transport solution that is independent from infrastructure, safe and comfortable for commuters, so that they can arrive in a timely manner and get an enjoyable experience? In terms of UX strategy, this would be our blueprint. Our challenges would be to find a transport solution that is independent from infrastructure, that is safe and comfortable, and that saves time and is enjoyable. We aspire to revolutionize the way we commute and to give users an experience to remember. Our focus areas would be inside the personal air vehicle in terms of UX. The end user would be our focus, as well as the user controls and the efficiency of use. Also, we want it to be comfortable and safe. Our guiding principles would be to keep the user in mind at all times, doing lots of experimentation, have a simple and intuitive UI and UX. We want to have the wow effect, and we want it to not look too futuristic. Our activities would be research and observation, persona and empathy maps, storytelling, iterative prototyping, testing. We would measure how well we're doing by making sure that the task of getting from A to B is complete, that the time needed for getting from A to B is reduced, that the user is enjoying the experience, and we could use as well the number of reviews and articles that are positive for us. To build this product and to make sure it works well, we would have a product vision to help us guide us. This product vision would be along the lines of producing the first mainstream personal air vehicle that will be easy to use, reliable, comfortable, safe, and provide an enjoyable experience. In terms of strategy and how to get us there, we would probably have a roadmap that would have some times. We wouldn't be able to create straight away the full finished product. So we would go by the theory of a minimum viable product. First, it could be a paper prototype, then a digital prototype, then possibly a small prototype, which we would then just increase the size to 1-person prototype and 5-person prototype. In between each of these cycles, we would, of course, seek criticism, test, and iterate to make sure we're going onto the right path. Once the product is created, we wouldn't stop there. We would continue to improve. And this is part of the lean UX, where basically you build a feature or a product, or you improve on a little part, then you measure how this is doing, you learn from your measurements, and you continue to build. We would also make sure to eliminate waste and save cost and not stock products. We would basically produce on demand. Or teams would look like this. They would be multiple teams with people from multiple disciplines. And these are called feature teams. Each of these teams focus on particular features. The product vision and the management will make sure that they work in unison. The preferred design to engineer ratio would be a 1-to-1. Now let's take a look at the risks. Our challenges with this product are air regulations. As today we have traffic regulations, we wouldn't be sure what these would be. They could also be accidents, and how are we going to manage these? There would be other flying objects like bigger planes or other flying personal air vehicles, or possibly animals like birds we would have to deal with. The fear of flying, so a lot of people do not like flying, so how would we deal with convincing them to take their personal air vehicle to go to work? We could run into the risk of the redundancy of need if people all of a sudden do not need to commute to work anymore. For example, if a lot of people can work from home or even just simply walk to work. Finally, we may have a challenge as well with the fact that currently you have to be a pilot to be able to fly any planes or helicopters. So we would have to find a way to deal with that. Ethical and social considerations. So there could be some privacy problems in terms of when the personal air vehicle is landing or taking off, it might create a lot of wind or noise above people's gardens, so it could be quite intrusive. There's also a public safety risk in terms of the risk of the people to the ground, so in case there's an accident, etc. We want to make sure we limit the environmental impact, and we want to make sure it's sustainable given the energy that is needed to lift an aircraft. We don't want to pollute anymore. So probably there it would have to be electric. There could be an impact on the urban life in general. If all of a sudden or progressively people don't use cars anymore, would that mean they would go less into towns? Would that mean less trade and possibly more crime? Would that mean a more empty life, empty city? Technological challenges. So currently most planes, apart from helicopters, need a runway to take off, which obviously is not very feasible in people's front gardens or when they live in apartments. So this is why the technology needs to probably evolve around VTOL, which is vertical takeoff and landing. And this means it needs rotor blades versus kind of wings to take off. There are some challenges with the efficiency of the vehicle and the energy that it needs to take off and the weight of the materials. There are some challenges in terms of the batteries. Currently, they're not efficient enough to carry humans for longer than a few minutes. There are also some concerns around the weather and the visibility, what happens when the weather is really bad. And the sense and avoid technology, which is currently being experimented with in driverless cars, still needs a lot of improvements. And yes, we have a few competitors already. The EHang is an autonomous aerial vehicle. It is a Chinese drone, and it was unveiled at the Consumer Electronics Show in 2016. There is the Cora, which is made by a company called Kitty Hawk, and this is now partnering with Air New Zealand for an air taxi service. The same company, Kitty Hawk, has another plane which is called the Flyer. For the Flyer, the orders are now pre-orders are now closed. Both the Kitty Hawk and the Flyer, as well as the next plane I'm going to show you, which is the Black Fly, all have Larry Page is backing these companies. This Black Fly was flown in July 2018. There is another personal air vehicle by Audi, Airbus and Ital Design. They say that this could be flying within 10 years. And obviously Uber as well is investing heavily in air cars, mainly air taxis. They have a conference called Uber Elevate, and they're hoping to launch in the 2020s. So how does the future look like? There will be a lot more experimenting and prototyping. There are 3 pilot cities, Dallas, LA, and Dubai, who will run a pilot plane taxi in the 2020s. It's going to continue to be shared services first, like Uber and taxis. And based on the current challenges that the technology is facing, it's going to be another few decades before it's actually really personal. Or prototype. We looked at the interior and UX of how it would look like inside and how it would work. It would be self-flying, as in self-driving, which means autopilot. It would respond to voice, and it would also be touch screen on the glass of the air car. Let's have a look.
Hi, Louise. Where are we going?
To work.
Okay.